Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Punt Intended podcast. This is Dale, joined by Jared.
Hate?
No Brett this week, but he will return. So we're gonna talk about some week 2 stuff, our picks, what we think about this week, and a few pieces of news and injuries from week 1. So to start off, the 49ers, who seem like the most injured team every year, continue to
Yeah.
be. Brock Purdy's dealing with a minor injury. He's questionable. You know, their whole entire running back room outside of McCaffrey seems to be hurt. Anyway, but George Kittle, hamstring injury. He was placed on IR, so he will miss 4 games. Um, Jared, do you have any season long thoughts on Kittle?
I mean, obviously it hurts. I think I was listening to someone else talk about Kittle. He's actually had hamstring issues a lot in his career. Not that he's had a ton of injuries, but he's this isn't the first time hamstring's been an issue for him. Although that seems like a more and more common injury. I
Yeah,
feel like people tweaking their hamstring,
especially
or
early in the year.
yeah, it does feel that way. I feel like I saw a lot of like a couple of Steelers players went out with hamstring tightness or whatever. So
Hmm.
it definitely seems like a common injury. But yeah, I think it makes it interesting. I mean, they do have a tight end who actually caught a touchdown pass in that game.
That he
I think
literally
is
stole that game-winning touchdown pass from the defender.
yes,
If you
for
haven't
sure.
seen the Jake Tonges catch against the
Yes,
Seahawks, go find it.
yes. No, it was a great catch, and it kind of adds like an interesting maybe a fab dump, not dump per se, but like depending on
Couple
your
bucks,
league,
throw him on your
you could
roster if you
yeah
have the
yeah.
spot.
If you don't have a tight end or if you
Because
drafted
their
Kyle
their pass
Pitts,
catching weapons are very diminished in San
yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah, so he could be a serious, not like crazy points, but a startable
Yeah.
tight end for the next 3, 4
And
weeks.
speaking of pass catchers and injuries, we got Drake London. He sprained his shoulder late in the game against the Buccaneers. Um, he's listed as questionable right now, but it seems like early in the week they're expecting him to be good to go
Yeah,
this week, so nothing major there yet. Darnell Mooney's also hurt for the Falcons. I kind of forgot about that one, but I
yeah.
believe he's also a question mark. But those are the only real
Shoulder injury.
injuries. True.
Sorry, shoulder injuries have been a thing because I forgot about this one too. Is Xavier Worthy?
Oh,
Is
that's
he out
true.
that game?
Xavier Worthy was the Thursday night game or Friday night game, so we kind of forgot about it. It was forever ago, but
Yeah.
you're right. He probably. I don't have
It
any
sounded like he
updates on
was
him.
missing.
That was the early reports was that he wasn't going to be able to make it, but the last thing I saw was actually kind of affirming that he was going to be able to make it back in time for this week. But while you vet that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the couple pieces of news that we wanted to bring up. So right after the games on Sunday and Monday, there was kind of rumors floating out there that Tyreek Hill was being shopped by the Dolphins. Maybe not shopped, but more so of like people were just expecting him to be moved. Um, so that's something to pay attention to. I don't really know. Jared, do you have really a take on the Tyreek Hill thing?
I don't know. I was interested in it this morning when I saw rumors the Steelers were interested. And they're like, oh, we could get Tyreek Hill. Obviously, that'd be kind of hype. Um, But after I saw that he's also undergoing maybe some legal proceedings, I was like, actually, can we stay away from that? Because the
Yeah,
Steelers don't need any more drama
why
in
not?
their
As a Browns fan, drama's great.
yeah, just add Tyreek to
A
it.
Browns fan wearing a Steelers jersey, I know
Yeah,
it sounds like an oxymoron.
yeah, it does. I can't find out anything on
Well, Xavier
Xavier
Worthy might
Worthy.
play football or he might not. That's a Mike
Maybe never.
McDaniel quote right there. In case you missed
Yep.
it from last week, he was asked about players getting touches, and he basically said he might get touches, he might not. He might score fantasy points, he might not. So anyway, moving on. The last piece of news we want to talk about is the New York Giants. Their offense was anemic in week 1, looked terrible against the Commanders. The Commanders do have a solid defense, but the Giants just looked incredibly bad. Russell Wilson obviously is their starter there. They also have Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart. Um, and the Giants put themselves in a really bad position. The fantasy footballers were talking about this too. The They wanted to reward Dart for how well he played in the preseason, so they made him the backup quarterback. And now, after a terrible week 1, people already want to see Dart start. And since he's the backup, you can't bench Russ for Jameis. Like, it just looks bad. Um, and I don't blame the Giants for sticking with Russ. I think that's the smart thing to do for right now. But if the offense looks that bad again, I think Dart's starting in week 3.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe too early, but he's gonna get kind of
and
forced in.
the other thing, I think the Giants are waiting for Andrew Thomas to get back on the field to start Dart because you do not want to put your rookie quarterback behind the bad O line, and that's exactly what New York is. So at least if Andrew Thomas is there, he can protect the blind side a little bit more. But if you have any opinion on that, Jared, the Dart thing,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that QB room is super entertaining and will be super interesting just because Jameis is there. You know, Mr. Unlimited is there, although he's seeming more and more limited all the time.
unlimited. That was a terrible
Yeah,
attempt.
you tried though, and that's all that counts. He would tell you that was worth it, um, but yeah, so it'll be interesting. I mean, Jackson Dart in week 3 would be, um, I feel like a little early, but at the same time, maybe he'll just walk in there and be the next Daniel Jones, just like
Thing.
might be.
We'll get into some Daniel Jones a little bit later, which kind of Daniel Jones you want to see. But we're gonna jump right into week 1. So Thursday night football, we got the Commanders at the Packers. Honestly, first 2 weeks we're getting spoiled with Thursday nights. Like last week, a great opening night, big rivalry. Eagles and Cowboys. The Cowboys kept it closer than everybody thought. That's kind of what we said last week too. We kind of said the Cowboys are going to keep this game close, but the Eagles will win. And we were
Yeah,
right. So the Commanders Packers game, I personally think this will be a low scoring defensive game. I love the Packers defense, and I think the Packers are one of those teams that wants to play slow and kind of churn the ball, churn first downs, and especially when the Commanders are on the other side, I feel like they'll just lean into that even more. I personally have the Packers winning this game. They looked amazing last week against the
yeah,
Lions.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely did.
Jared, do you have any?
Yeah, so I definitely think that, like you said, maybe a little spoiled with some of the lineups. I'd be curious to see what the whole year looks like for Thursday night. But Packers Commanders should be a good game. It might not, like you said, I could definitely see this going more defensive. Um, and I don't know that the Commanders have quite the defense to back it up. I don't think it'll be like a repeat of the Lions, but I think it could be similar
Yeah.
in the sense that like the Commanders just might not be able to get much going, and the Packers will score kind of how they want to, but never not like crazy amounts either. Like they're gonna win handily, but it won't look like it was a super high scoring
All right,
game.
just for fun, over or under 47.5 points. This is completely irrelevant. Definitely don't have any personal interest in this.
Yeah,
Your opinion.
I would say it's gonna push. It's gonna hit it exactly. Actually,
47 and a half.
47 and a
We're
half
gonna get a
exact.
half point. Let's
Our half
go.
point game, first ever, right here. Actually, no, I think you'll see. It'll probably be under. It'll be under.
Let's go. I hope so. As if your opinion changes the outcome. And what do you got
Yes.
for us in the second matchup here?
Yes, second matchup of the week, or at least in our list of matchups, we have the Browns versus the Ravens, some AFC North football. Um, yeah, so I mean, this one on paper, it should be an easy win for the Ravens.
At
I know
home.
that's how, yeah, at home, that's how they will see it. That's how majority of the NFL will see it. But as two people who've watched a lot of AFC North football, and the Browns defense, I mean, it was just the Bengals, and they do look awful in the first couple weeks usually. But I think that they might be maybe return to the defense of 2 years ago.
The
I mean,
Browns
last
win
year
that
they
game if
struggled.
they have a kicker.
Yeah, they do indeed. They do
But
indeed.
and they don't have a kicker because he got cut the next day.
Wait, did they actually cut him?
They actually cut him.
Okay. I dropped him off my one roster, but it wasn't because I thought he got cut. It was because I thought he was awful.
Never
Which I
mind.
mean,
I am wrong. He is staying on the team. But, confidence in the kid might be a good thing, or it might
it
just
might.
suck.
I mean, there's kickers that went through rough sprees. I remember when
Yeah.
our very own Chris Boswell went through a rough spree. I don't think it was early in his career like this guy,
I
but
mean, I
like a
think the
rough
reality is he
spree.
just won the kicking job in preseason. It's his first NFL game. I think you almost put yourself in a position where you have to let him at least have one more shot.
Yeah.
But the missed extra point, putting you down a point, and then a missed field goal to put yourself in the lead.
Yeah,
Brutal.
especially when your defense is playing like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually think that the Browns are going to squeak out something here. It's a little bit probably Ravens hate, but a little hopeful that the Browns could kind of redeem
And the
themselves.
Ravens are coming off an emotional loss. They were up 2
Yes,
touchdowns in the fourth quarter in Buffalo
yeah,
and couldn't bring it out.
and they're playing Joe Flacco. I mean, the revenge dagger right there. He's going to take that and get
Yeah.
his get back.
I can definitely see what you're seeing there, but I I don't think the Browns will win. I definitely think look, the spread's 11 and a half. The Browns are probably covering that spread. Like I feel like this is similar to the Eagles Cowboys game where it just feels like the spread is too big for the other team and they'll
Yeah,
play good enough to cover but probably not good enough to win. So I have the Ravens, you have the Browns, which is funny cuz I'm the Browns fan. Um so I'm going to put the Ravens on our official pick here since we only
yeah,
get one.
that's probably a safer pick if we're being
But if
honest.
we're trying to be right, so
Yeah,
next, we've got the Jaguars and the Bengals at Cincinnati at Paycor Stadium. The Jags coming off a pretty dominant win over the Panthers. The Bengals probably didn't deserve to win that game against the Browns, but
yards
regardless,
of offense.
both 7 yards of offense in the second half is crazy.
It
Shout out
really
to the
is.
Browns defense for that. But yeah, I don't really think there's a ton to talk about. I think the Bengals defense showed enough last week. I don't think the Jags have that high powered of an offense, at least not yet. You maybe give Travis Hunter, a few more weeks to get going. They did trade Tank Bigsby to the Eagles, which makes sense why he had so few carries last week. Um,
Yeah, I heard someone say they were testing it without him to see what it looked like, and they were
I mean,
happy that
that's entirely relevant. Like, they wanted to see what they had in ETN, if ETN could bounce back. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a trade for both guys prepared.
yeah,
And then if ETN didn't look good, they just traded him. But anyway, with that being said, I think the Bengals looked good enough last week, and the Jaguars, they weren't super impressive, even though they were dominant over the Panthers. I think it had less to do with what they were doing and more to do with Bryce Young turning back into a pumpkin. So I'm going
yeah,
Bengals.
yeah. I don't know. I think the Bengals might be terrible at football. I have the Jags picked in this game. Um, it's
It is
more a
week
gut
2.
feeling than anything. It's week 2. It's still early. The
Yeah,
Bengals
that still
should be
falls in
better at
the 2 and
football, but
11 record now for the head coach.
yes, it does indeed. Which they won one more of, so I guess maybe they're back.
It's true, they doubled their win total in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's true. But yeah, I have the Jaguars to win this game. I think Trevor gets it done and maybe shows people he's better than we think. My gosh, my dog is straight up attacking me right now. Sorry,
Great content.
Cooper. Yeah. So with that being said, I think the Jags will win that game. Next game we have is Cowboys Giants. This game, I don't know. Like you said, it really kind of depends. Like if and it looks like at this point, if Russell starts the game, I think the Cowboys win. It might not be like a domination, but I think it'll be pretty simple. How the game. I don't know that I believe in the Russell Wilson led or Giants.
Hmm.
Uh,
I wouldn't believe in the Russell Wilson led Cowboys either.
yeah. So I mean, at this point, I think that yeah, it'll be pretty much a handy game for the Cowboys.
I agree. I think if Dart was starting, I would probably pick the Giants to win this game because I think he brings a different element to their team. But I agree the Cowboys will win this game. So moving on, we've got the Lions and the Bears. Two teams, very different stories in Week 1. The Lions um, looked kind of miserable on offense against the Packers, but I think that had a lot to do with the Packers' defense. The Bears in Week 1 came out, looked amazing against the Vikings, scored on their first drive. Their defense was absolutely locking down the Vikings for 3 quarters. And this team was up 17-7 in the second half. JJ McCarthy, the Vikings quarterback, looked awful. And then the wheels fell off the bus in the fourth quarter because JJ McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell, shout out to him because he let McCarthy keep chucking it, got the
Yeah.
confidence in the young kid, and JJ McCarthy won a football game without cheating. So, well, that we
It's
know of.
groundbreaking.
Uh,
Yeah,
not
Kevin might
confirmed
be
yet.
cheating.
Give it a few
The way
years. You never
Kevin
know.
the way Kevin plays and the way his quarterbacks play for him, he might be cheating. That could be
That
possible.
would be so good, dude. But yeah,
If it came
so
out he was
the
cheating.
Bears ended up losing that game with a 17-7 second half lead. The Vikings scored touchdowns on 3 straight drives to end the game. Um, with that being said, with how bad the Bears looked, the Lions didn't look much better. And I'm going to pick the Lions. And before I turn this over to Jared, I did see a stat. Jared Goff is 0-19-1 when not when his offensive coordinator slash play caller is not Sean McVay or Ben Johnson. I
That's
don't.
crazy.
That's crazy. It is. It's insane. So anyway, I'll turn it over to you to finish
Yeah.
discussing this matchup.
So yeah, I think this one will be an interesting game. I think it'll probably tell us a lot about both teams as far as which way it goes.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the Lions' fall from grace will continue into week 2. I think the Bears will actually win this game, although I don't know that it'll be. I think it'll look similar to the kind of Steelers Jets game in the sense that I think both
Whoa.
teams will score a lot of points, but I
Whoa.
think the Bears will bring it out in the end because I don't think either of these defenses, at
You
least
don't
they've
believe
showed
in what?
time.
You don't believe in the Bears secondary getting any healthier this week,
No,
or
I
finding a
don't
way
know.
to close the game.
Yeah, I just think it'll be. I think this will actually be a higher scoring game, but I think the Bears will somehow pull it out. Um, I'm not sure. I believe in the Lions this year at all. But maybe they'll prove me wrong, and then I'll be wrong.
Just pulling it up here. So the over under is 47.5 points. You're slamming the over then.
Yeah, slamming it,
All right. Why don't you
slamming it.
slam into our next matchup?
Yeah. The next matchup we have is Patriots Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins are coming off
You're the resident
the
Dolphin
most.
guy.
Yeah, I usually am. I usually am. But the Dolphins are coming off arguably, no, not even arguably, the most humiliating loss of Week 1.
Oh,
Like,
100%. Maybe the most humiliating loss in a Dolphins game in the last few years, and they've had some bad ones.
yeah, yeah, because even like the playoff game that people make fun of them being too cold, it wasn't like this. Um, it wasn't like this at all. Yeah, so the Dolphins obviously lost badly to the Colts, and I think it's because most people thought the Colts weren't a very. I mean, maybe most people is not the right
Mediocre
word,
team.
but
People don't have
yeah,
expectations. Daniel Jones
yeah,
looked awful last year with the
yeah.
Giants.
So to get absolutely hammered by a team like that, I think people don't have a great opinion of them, and neither do I. I'm taking the Patriots.
I agree. It's mine's more pro Patriots than anti Dolphins. I've never really been a fan of Tua and the Dolphins, but um, this is more of my love for Drake May, and he might have found a number one wide receiver in Kayshon Boutte. He had 100 yards last week. For those that didn't know, I feel like that was the most underrated 100-yard game in recent memory. So yeah, I have the Patriots winning that game as well. Moving on, we've got the 49ers, or should I say the 29ers, because their roster is about half hurt, taking on the Saints in the Superdome. Um, we've talked about the 49ers being injured. The Saints looked competent last week. It was the Cardinals, who probably are a mediocre team in the NFL, but the Saints look competent. If Brock Purdy misses this game, which I feel like they can probably win without him, so they might bench him. With the injuries to the 49ers, I'm going to pick the Saints to pull an early season upset here and go to 1-1 on the year. Jared?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I don't think the Niners are that bad. The Saints didn't look terrible, terrible, um, but they weren't Dolphins type bad. But I don't think they really stand a chance against the Niners. I think the Niners are pretty well coached in general. Still, they have a good defense.
Even with the
Um,
29ers joke?
Even with the 29ers. Yeah, yeah. I think the 49ers, though, will win this game. Um, I think that you'll see some CMC action. I was surprised he played last week, I'll be honest.
Shock.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to
That's,
probably miss the whole career. The rest of his career just be done. It sounded like that's
you
where
were
it was
getting
headed.
deja vu, is what you're saying?
It did seem that way, if we're
It
being
was
honest.
super similar. People
I
were
was like,
comparing the quotes from last year to this year, and it was like, oh man, it sounds the exactly the same.
yeah, yeah. But I think the Niners will win this one. I don't know if I can give you an over under or anything that way, but I think the Niners got it.
That's okay. We'll skip the over under this time.
Yeah. So the next game we got is Bills Jets. Obviously the Jets came off a
Both of these teams
heartbreaking.
the highest scoring games of
Yeah,
the week last week.
that is true. So this should be a super high scoring game, right?
That would be more fun. Yes, it would be very
It would
fun
be.
if we got to see
We just
these
need
a
every
divisional
game.
game.
Yes. Every game to be above 30 points for each team would be nice, wouldn't it be?
Oh yeah, I would love that for a certain quarterback.
Yes. Yes, you indeed would. Yeah, so Bills Jets, obviously Jets came off of that heartbreaking loss to the Steelers after playing the best Jets football we've seen in
By the way,
damn near 10 years.
the receiver that fumbled in that game that basically lost the Jets the game, he got
Oh,
cut
got cut.
today.
Yes.
Um,
That was brutal. I never like to see that because obviously it's one play,
I don't know.
but
He didn't do much in his rookie year either. So,
yeah.
but anyway, I'll let you continue.
Yeah. And then the Bills obviously coming off the most, heart throbbing win or what I don't know what you want to call it. They, 15
The Cardiac Kids, and we
yeah,
cashed in on that.
15 points down with what was the time on it? 7 minutes, I think is when they
I think so, yeah.
yeah, or something when they got the ball back there.
And they scored two
So
touchdowns and missed the 2 point conversion. So then they had to kick a field goal.
yeah, and they still won. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I think the Bills win this game though. I don't know that the Jets are
Not much
turned over a
trouble.
new leaf. Um, uh, the Steelers, I'm not sure how to feel about them yet. Obviously, I'm a Steelers fan, but we don't really know what the Jets just beat. Maybe that win looks, or that close loss, I should say. Sorry, looks very impressive in a couple weeks. Maybe it looks, you know, disappointing. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't beat the Steelers
Well, we can
after
talk a
seeing
little
them.
bit. We're gonna talk more about the Steelers here in just a moment, but um, I do want to touch one last thing on that Bills Ravens game. So we're watching the game together last week. Myself, Jared, Brett was there slash Turb, and just for fun, I think it was the third quarter at this point, late third quarter, um, or maybe it was at the fourth quarter break. Jared, do you remember when this was in the
I
game?
thought there was 12 minutes left in the
Okay,
game.
fair. But
They
the
had
Bills
gotten the
were
ball.
down 2 touchdowns, correct? It was like 18 to 40 to 33, and they were getting the ball back, right? I
Something
think
like
is what
that.
it
Yeah.
was. And um I was like, let's have some fun. We got a bonus bet on Hard Rock Bet. So I threw a $25 bonus bet on the Jets to win the game. Or no, sorry, it was a $20 bonus bet on the Bills to win the game outright. And just kind of having fun, betting free money, right? It's a bonus bet. Um, and then Jared tailed the bet. And so we're over here sweating. The Bills go down and score a touchdown. They're down a score. We're feeling great.
They
Then the
didn't the
Ravens,
first time. The
yeah,
first time they had the ball, it was 3 and out, I think.
that's
Because
right.
we were like we got cooked instantly.
Yes.
We're like, "Oh my gosh, we're
And
morons."
then they got the ball right back from the Ravens offense. They push them
Yeah.
3 and out. They get it back. They go down and score a touchdown. It's a 8 point game. I think it was 25-33 at this point. And we're like, okay, we're back. We're back. And I have walked away after the touchdown to do some other stuff. I come back and it's 40-25. And I was like, okay, it's now over. And then, like you said, it was like 7 minutes left in the game. I think the Bills go down the field, score a touchdown, and then we're like, okay, this could happen. The next
And the
Ravens
fumble.
drive, Derrick Henry fumbles the ball, and then the Bills go down and score, and we're like, oh my gosh, they're a 2 point away from tying. They miss the 2 point, so they have to kick it back to the Ravens. They force them 3 and out, get the ball back. No, didn't they block the punt? No, that was a different game, I think.
No,
Anyway,
different game, different game.
but they get the ball back, go down, get in field goal range, take the lead, and then they held on to win. But it was just crazy. We ended up winning. My bet was $65 was my payout. Jared, you only won 60 because you got in
Yeah.
like a minute after I did, so the odds had
Yes.
bumped. They saw me bet and they were like, "Okay, we better bump those down." And
Yeah. Your big dollar
um,
bet there.
so yeah. Anyway, moving on to the Bills Jets game. Jared had said all that. Said the Bills are gonna win. I say all that. Think the Jets are gonna win. I think the Jets defense is better than they showed last week. I think the Bills is too, but the Bills are coming off of an emotional high. Like winning that game might be a little bit less focused. The Jets, you still lost. You played great. You still lost the game. So I think they'll be a little more motivated, and they're at home. This is a huge upset if it happens, but I'm taking the Jets to beat the Bills. And moving on, speaking of the Steelers, we're both repping our Steelers jersey. I'm in a Fields.
Oh
Jared,
yeah.
your whose jersey you're
Calvin
wearing?
Austin, of course.
Calvin Austin jersey. Yep. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Nothing else than
I
Calvin
think the
Austin.
Steelers. I think the Steelers are gonna win this game. I'm very scared of picking the Steelers in this game because I think the Seahawks are a decent squad. Um,
Yeah.
but I will pick the Steelers because partially because they're at home. West Coast team has to come all the way over here. But what are your thoughts as
Yeah.
a homer?
Yeah, I feel like I had to pick the Steelers. This is a game that I feel like could be a little bit like I thought we'd beat the Jets, and I picked the Jets, and the game didn't go how I thought it would at all. But we did beat the Jets. This is a game where I feel like they're like a middling team. The Seahawks, in my opinion, they're not
They don't
top
scare you.
10, but they're not bottom 10 probably either. I mean, they're somewhere in the middle
Yeah.
probably. So they're probably on par with the Steelers, and that does make me wonder if somehow we could go out here and get humiliated. But I think the Steelers will pull it out. We're gonna hope that that Aaron Rodgers led offense will still know how to play football, and that maybe the defense will catch up this week, and we'll actually have a full team.
The Steelers look prime for like a 7-0 start and then finishing 10-7.
That would be great. That'd be great, honestly. I have a 7 week high, and then I can be disappointed.
Speaking of disappointed or disappointing,
Oh, yes, the Rams, the most disappointing team in the NFL. Um, yeah. So next game is Rams Titans. Obviously the Titans um, did not win last week, which was mega sad. If you were a Cam
Ward fan.
Ward, I couldn't remember his last name. Thanks for the assist there, Cam Ward fan. He didn't have like a terrible
He
game.
just missed
Actually,
some passes to Alec
it was
Iomanor.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It
the
definitely wasn't a
defense
great.
looked really good though against the Broncos offense.
Yeah, that was an ugly game. I felt like that Broncos Titans game. Just based on highlights, it didn't look very like a very pretty football game. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Cam Ward and the Rams. You know, what do they really have anymore? I couldn't name
That
any
defense,
players on
man.
their team.
That
That
defense last week.
that the D line is maybe insane, but we'll just hope that Cam will be fine and won't spend all game on his back, and they'll pull out a win here. This is probably my maybe my closest like upset game.
This
It
is
might be.
definitely your biggest upset pick of the week for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, because even like the Bears to beat the Lions, I don't think is crazy upset. This one I think is probably. But I got the Titans picked in this game. What about you, Dom?
That's wild. I agree with a lot of what you said, but the Rams defense last week looked extremely good. I don't know how much of that was because the Texans O line was bad. But I do have the Rams winning this game. Um, Matt Stafford's healthy, and as long as Matt Stafford's healthy, the Rams, in my opinion, after watching last week's game, are probably a top 10 team in the league. So I'm gonna go Rams here, and that's gonna be our official pick because it's more favored, so we'd look less dumb if it
Yeah,
went wrong. Um,
indeed.
Anyway, moving on, we got the Cardinals and the Panthers. Speaking of disappointing, we went from we should have done this game next. We should have skipped the Titans Rams game because that Panthers offense looked dreadful. This was supposed to be a high scoring game with the Jags. I was all in on Bryce Young this week. Thought for sure the Panthers offense would have a great game. It wasn't true. They looked awful. A garbage time touchdown. Um, and until they get that fixed, I'm picking against them. And the Cardinals looked pretty good last week. Marv Harrison got a touchdown. Trey McBride was involved. Connor looked decent. Now they played the Saints. That's the big asterisk there. Um, but yeah, I do have the Cardinals winning this, and they're at home. So,
Yeah, for
Jared.
sure. Yeah, I got the Cardinals in this game as well. I think, like you said about the Panthers, they're kind of in the same probably category as the Dolphins in my mind. Of like, you're just gonna have to pick against them until they prove you wrong, and I don't know that they're gonna prove me wrong this week. Um, I think the Cardinals will win this game. I think that I like you said, the offense kind of had hopes of like, oh, maybe with the wide receiver they added and some of the other pieces they had, this would finally be maybe a team that would succeed. But it just seems like the same old Panthers. I got the Cardinals in this one. Yeah. And then our next game is Broncos Colts. Obviously, the Colts had probably one of the most surprising games last week with the big domination, I would say, of the Dolphins. The Broncos had an ugly game, ugly, ugly. I felt like against the Titans. It definitely could have been a loss, but the Titans are bad enough. I think that they just got away with it. A lot of the stuff they did, if they did against other teams, wouldn't work out. But I think the Broncos will put it together this week. I think the Colts are going to look a little bit like the Saints from last year, where they started real
Dang.
high scoring game and then fell apart in like 2 weeks. And I
Dang.
think that's what the Broncos are gonna do to the Colts.
The difference between that Saints team and this Colts team is the quarterback. The the Saints had Derek Carr, old, not very athletic, pocket passer, at league average kind of guy. The Colts have our friend White Vic, aka Daniel Jones. So, and he looked really good last week. He looked so good. And how much of that is the Dolphins defense being awful? How much of that is Daniel Jones? I don't know. I'm not willing to go all in on Daniel Jones yet, for the record. For fantasy specifically, um, I will usually err on the side of like, let me see it again. But I do have the Colts winning the game. I'll get the Broncos the official pick since we've been going with the more massive favorites. Also, while you were talking about this game, I did just go look for fun. So the Browns Ravens line is 11.5. So that is
Ooh.
definitely your biggest upset of the week. The Titans are 5.5 point dog against the Rams, according to what I'm seeing. And the
Hmm.
Jets are 6.5 point dogs to the Bills. So those are our big upsets so far we've predicted. Moving on, we got the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Chiefs with the Xavier Worthy news. They don't have Rashi Rice back yet. Kelsey didn't look amazing in week one. Hollywood Brown had a good game, but I don't know if he can really do that same thing against this Eagles secondary that looked beatable in the first half against the Cowboys, and then they turned the key and absolutely locked everything up in the second half. CD had some drops, and that got publicized a lot, but
Yep.
I think the Eagles are probably better than they played in that game, and I think they'll be able to get up for the Super Bowl rematch and handle the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
Yeah. I would love to pick the Eagles here, but this just seems like an ugly Chiefs win written all over it. Because it would be just like the Chiefs to lose their first game and then play their Super Bowl rematch, who look okay in the first game for themselves and then beat them in week 2. This is a Chiefs win. I don't think that the Eagles can do anything about it. I think the Chiefs, after last week, probably made a call to the good old devil and made a deal, and they'll win this game. There'll probably be 3 Eagles players, key players, get hurt in this game uh, because the Eagles are just cursed against the Chiefs because the Chiefs are using devil magic, even
What
more
so
devil magic
what
than the
what
Steelers.
happened in the Super Bowl though?
The devil was on vacation. That's my only thought. Yeah. And then the Chiefs, of course, have the great, the one and only Juju Smith Schuster. So they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Perfect segue.
Yeah. 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 And then our next game we have is the Falcons at the Vikings. Yeah, so this game I don't even know. I think at this point it just seems like the Vikings will win. I don't even know if I have a reason. I'll be
Is it
honest.
just what we
It
saw in the
just
fourth quarter? Is it just JJ McCarthy looking like
It's probably
an
recency bias, you
MVP
know?
candidate in the fourth quarter against the Bears?
He looked real quick on that scramble too to the touchdown.
He is pretty
Like,
mobile, yeah.
I looked, I was like, "Man, he's, got some wheels on him." Looking like looking like Baker Mayfield out there.
He's faster than Baker.
Yeah, I got the Vikings in this game though. How about you?
Um, this is probably the hardest game for me personally to pick.
Really?
The Falcons lost to the Bucks, but they look pretty good, and I think the Bucks are kind of being slept on. We'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the Bucks game right after this. Um, but the Falcons hung in there. Young Wei Koo missed a field goal that would have sent the game to overtime as
True.
time expired. Um, but I do think the Vikings will win. I think being at home is a huge advantage for them in this matchup. Next, our penultimate game this week. We got the Buccaneers and the Texans. The
Mm.
Texans are at home in this one. They looked pretty good against the Rams. They had some key turnovers in the red zone, and they didn't get in the end zone. Oof, a lot of zones. The Buccaneers last week, carried by a rookie wide receiver known as Emeka Ibuka. Um, the Texans' defense is pretty good, but the Buccaneers, I think they have too many weapons for them to overcome, and I think the Bucks are gonna go into NRG Stadium and upset the Texans because the Texans are 2.5 point favorites.
Are they really? That's actually
They
crazy.
are.
Which I guess you were talking about that earlier before the show. Of just you felt like the Bucks should be the favorites here, and I would
It's the home
agree.
field advantage, I think.
Yeah, probably. I think until the Texans can prove that they can keep CJ vertical, um,
I I do want to say
I
he
don't
was
know.
like 9 of 10 under pressure last week, so maybe the strategy is get him under pressure and let him cook.
Yeah, but how many sacks did he take?
We don't want to talk about that. It was like 4, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's not crazy. I just feel like that
That
the
is
O line
crazy.
is just
4 a
there.
game over 17 is. Phew, you're talking
That's what
70
A Rod put.
sacks. That's a lot. He won't
Yeah,
take that
old
many
man.
though. If that pace continues, he won't take that many because he'll miss time.
Yeah, we got to get Will Howard in there. Although he probably won't be the one to start. It'll be Mason.
Will Howard. Oh, you're talking about the Steelers, bruh.
Yes, yeah. If A Rod gets sacked, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think the Bucks win this game. I think that, like you said, their young rookie wide receiver who, what college did he go to again? I can't remember.
OH.
I
Ohio State, by the way.
yes.
Gotta
He looked
clarify
pretty
because
good.
Ohio is playing Ohio State this weekend. So
Oh, so it'll be a close game then, huh? Anyways, yeah, I think the Bucks win this one. I think they got the better offense, and quite frankly, I think they have the better defense at this point. So yeah, Bucks for me. And then our final game of the week, Monday Night Football. This one could be boring depending how it goes. Hopefully, it won't be, but it's actually Chargers Raiders.
yep.
Obviously, the Chargers took care of business in Week 1 against the Chiefs.
At home
I think
against the
yes,
Chiefs in Brazil.
at home, yes, at home in Brazil. They had that home field advantage. They got to sit on the home side of the stadium, which helped them a lot.
It might have. You never know.
It might have. You never know. Yeah. So yeah, Chargers won. I think they're everyone's favorite team because of that. Just anytime someone can beat the Chiefs, you're gonna get a rah rah from most NFL fans. So I think the Chargers will win this game too. The Raiders are still trying to figure it out. I don't know if they will. I actually who's their head coach right now?
The Raiders?
Oh, it's freaking
Pete
Pete
Carroll.
Carroll. Dang, oldest coach in the NFL right there.
And I actually think he's about to turn into the oldest coach in NFL history.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
believe that has happened. If it hasn't already happened, it is happening in the next few months for
Yeah.
sure.
I heard somebody say he's the oldest coach to ever win a game.
That's probably true because I know he's very close to oldest coach ever.
Yeah. But we'll see.
So if he's close to
Who you
oldest
got?
coach ever, it's entirely possible that the other coach wasn't winning games.
Yes.
Um, who do I got? I agree. I have the Chargers. I think we'll see more Najee Harris this week. Omarion Hampton will look better against a little bit worse defense. Um, and like you're saying, this game could go a few different ways. I think whether this game scores or not just depends on whether the Raiders can keep up with the Chargers, because I think the Chargers can score if they want to on this Raiders team. Um, so yeah, I'll go Chargers. And I'll also just segue right in. So we were talking about this big upset earlier in the show about this NFC North matchup between the Browns and the Ravens. You picked the Browns to win. I didn't go that far. I do think they will cover, but a big reason why is I have David Njoku scoring 2 touchdowns in this game,
Hmm.
and going for 100 yards. He didn't do
Yeah.
much last week. Harold Fanning kind of stole the show, but showing that Harold Fanning can do something. Jerry Judy looked good last week, even though he didn't produce a ton.
Yeah. Cedric Tillman had a
Cedric
touchdown
Tillman
pass.
looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't mention earlier when we were talking about the last week's game for the Browns, they had 2 passes that were kind of a little low and outside that receivers dove for, and it actually was Judy and Tillman, by the way, for these 2 passes. Dove to catch a ball, tipped it into Bengals defenders' hands for picks.
Yes.
So those
Yeah.
we didn't mention it earlier, but it's also something to consider. The Browns looked better than their 1 point loss. 2 picks that were just drop passes into the DB's hands, a missed field goal,
Yeah.
a missed extra point.
Yeah.
Anyway, David Njoku is having
Not
a
on
big game.
Flacco for sure.
And Jared, you've had some hot takes this week, so let's just continue that trend.
Yeah. So my hot take is kind of contradictory to who I picked in this game
It's
because if
funny
this
because
happens,
mine is contradictory to what I picked in that game.
yeah, yeah. So my pick is actually for the Saints QB Spencer Rattler. I don't know. He looked pretty. I wouldn't say he looked awful, but definitely didn't look good. Um, in his first
Almost
game,
almost got
I
Chris
think
Olave killed.
yes, that hospital ball was brutal. Um, yeah, I think he'll bounce back a little bit here. I think he'll have 300 total yards. Um, in the air and then on the ground. And then 2 total touchdowns. Nothing crazy. He could throw a pick or have a fumble too. Um, but I don't know. I just something about him. I know he had a lot of Patrick Mahomes
Okay,
comps early in his
moving on.
life. He was on that show. What was the name of that show? I forget it. Yeah, he was on that QB show when he was a kid. So he's been in the spotlight for a long time, and I think he'll prove them haters wrong this week and have a
So,
good game.
any turnovers?
I'm not going to say, but I think he probably will.
1, 2, 3.
He'll have 2.
Okay. If he goes 300 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 or less turnovers, there's no way the Saints lose this game. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong about
But
that.
anyway, that's the show. We'll end it off on maybe the hottest take of the year so far with Jared. Next week we'll actually review our week 2 picks and things like that. We didn't do that this week. I apologize, but we will see y'all next week, and enjoy week 2 of NFL football.
Yep. Peace.